Okay everyone, welcome back to another video on Gran Turismo Sport. We're back with the FIA Nations highlights at Fuji in Group 3. So this was top split, third slot of the day. I'm driving the Peugeot and we actually managed a reasonably okay qualifying lap that wasn't the best, but I think slipstream massively helped out and we managed to qualify ourselves on a 36.4. So yeah, putting ourselves in P2 in a fairly competitive lobby. You can see behind us some very fast drivers as we go through the field. A lot of very talented GT Sport drivers all the way through the grid. So this is going to be pretty difficult to try and get these big points. I did expect to lose positions in this race, depending on with race pace. My race pace was okay, but there was people that didn't get an amazing qualifying in behind us that had probably slightly better race pace. So we're starting from P2. We're starting on the medium tyres. We've got Killian in front of us, who is a very fast top split driver. So the aim of this was to try and drive fairly sensible at the start of the race and just sit in his slipstream, save my tyres, and just hang on in there really. And then at the end of the race, try and have enough of a gap to battle it out, because this race was some drivers starting on hard tyres. Now, if they worked well together, they were very challenging at the end of the race. So my aim here was to just try and get away from all them drivers as well as possible. So starting the race into turn one, nice and early on the brakes, no risks at all, just following behind Killian. And we can see that everyone seems to have got through turn one fairly cleanly. We can see in the bottom right hand corner on the replay camera that it's all fairly sensible through the first few corners. And again, being careful of them cold tyres with the mediums. Even though you're on medium tyres, they did tend to start a little bit cooler than what you would normally do, because obviously you're waiting for a long time for the cars at the start in the initial grid phase. So yeah, now halfway through the lap one, we can see we're still in the slipstream with Killian. We've got a nice gap behind us to Cash behind us there. We've got Quentin, who I expected to be very fast around this combination, also very fast in the Peugeot. So this was going to be a case of just hanging in there to Killian for as long as possible. So into this very technical section. Now this section, I did quite like this little few corners. I love this track and it's one of my favourite tracks, Fuji. I do enjoy driving this last sector where it's very technical and it's all about just getting the right lines into the corners and getting off the throttle at the right point and just letting the car coast through the corners and then back on the throttle as early as possible. A very technical last sector, but I do enjoy driving it. So yeah, nearly completed lap one. We're still in P2. We're going to try and get a good exit from this corner, and we're still in that slipstream all the way down the straight. Now, we decided to not battle. You can see Killian goes to go defensive, and I'm just flashing him and saying stay to the left, because at this stage of the race, you've got 15 laps. There is very little point fighting it out, battling in my perspective, because all that's going to do is lose you both time. When you've got people that are starting on hard tyres behind you, on the initial phase on the mediums, I feel it's better just to work together, pull away, build that gap up, and then battle at the end of the race, because that is when you're going to need the gap to the hard run, the people that started on the hard tyres, so that you can actually, you know, comfortably fight on the last few laps. But yeah, I'm just trying to play this tactically, using Killian's speed with the slipstream. Now, my pace was actually pretty solid here anyway. We did a reasonably good practice run the day before with just running solo in the lead. So I knew my pace was actually not too bad around here. So we're going to follow behind Killian, again, into that braking pace, making sure we're braking early. You can see braking quite early, and again, just getting that right-hand tyre on that green bit of Astro on the left, and then just trying to stay as close as we can to Killian. Now, this right-hand corner is a very tricky corner. It is best just to stay in third gear, then get on the power nice and early, but it's very easy to run wide onto that green Astro and then completely mess up all this sector. So it's all about, this whole sector is about getting every corner hooked up, because if you miss one apex, you end up missing the next corner and then the next corner after that, because you're all out of sync. But again, we're managing to stay in that slipstream of Killian in P2. You can see we've got a gap to Cash behind us around 2-3 tenths. And we're going again into braking zone, flashing Killian just again to let him know we're not going to challenge him and just trying to save tyres. As we get a little bit of a hit from Cash behind us there in the braking zone. He's probably just got caught out by the slipstream a little bit there and just bumped into the back of us. But luckily, we managed to stay behind Killian and we don't lose too much time. So again, watching these replay cameras, you can see that there is a gap developed between P4 and P5. Now, I think P5 was actually on the medium tyres, along with us on the medium tyres, and the hard tyre runners were a little bit further back. So at this stage, it's looking quite nice. We can see that it's very close between the top four. We're all working pretty well together. No real fighting going on, and this is ideal at this point of the race. And with this view, you can see just how close this battle was at the moment. You can see as we come into the braking zone, P1, 2, 3 and 4 there myself, and a very short gap to P5, so not much of a gap between all cars here. You can see there's a group of another 4 cars there, so top 8 only separated by a matter of a few seconds. So this race is really heating up. So we're going to skip ahead now to lap 4 and the braking zone for the same chicane, and we can see Kaj behind us, around 2 tenths behind us, and we've got Killian in front of us. And Kaj goes, I think he actually braked a little bit late and just decided to turn it into an overtake. We just saw it coming, luckily gave him the space, but unfortunately that move by Kaj has lost us all the slipstream to Killian in P1. So that was slightly frustrating, because Killian is going to be extremely difficult to catch if you have not got his slipstream in this race. He's very good on tyre wear, he's very fast, and he very rarely makes an error. He's very consistent. So yeah, into the final corner, and we can see as we come through here, you can see that Kaj has actually lost his slipstream, because as we got on the straight, Killian gets a better exit off the corner. He goes to the right hand side of the track, and you see that Kaj doesn't follow him because he knows he's lost that slipstream. So we're going to pick up the slipstream to Kaj, and we're going to see if we can maybe go for a move and use that bit of slipstream drag down the straight to try and get ourselves back into the slipstream of P1. So going to the right hand side, you can see we go down the right hand side, and we're going to try and brake as late as we can into the braking zone, and we briefly pick up the slipstream there, but we don't get the rotation. However, on the throttle and around a tenth away from getting that slipstream with that extra speed down the straight. So unfortunately we do not get back into the slipstream of P1. So yeah, a little bit frustrating, but it was once the move was made by Kaj, there was pretty much no chance of us picking that slipstream back up of P1, but we nearly made it work with that extra speed down the straight. But unfortunately for us, Killian manages to stay nice and consistent through here. So again, we're around 1 second behind him. We're going to try and push like crazy to see if we can get back into that slipstream, but it is looking very unlikely. Let's see what we can do as we go into this final sector. Now, we were pretty good on this final sector. I know on this little section through the chicane, I did tend to be quite strong. Got on the brakes pretty much perfect there, hooking the corner up, and we get down to 9 tenths, and you can see we gain a tenth or 2 on Killian there, but again, just not enough to pick up that slipstream. And now obviously as we come through to the final sector and onto the main straight, we're probably going to be under attack from Kaj behind us, and possibly Quentin as well. But I had decided though at this point there wasn't really if we start fighting too much, we're going to end up losing too many positions. So as we come through to the final corner, you can see get on the power as early as we can, and you can see that we're only at 1.2 second, 1.1 second behind Killian in front of us, but we're not going to defend it. We're going to let Kaj go down to the right hand side, and again Quentin also coming through is going to try and go through there, and I decided to also not battle with them too much, because it was better really just to tuck in behind them and save my tyres, because if we battle too much, we're going to give P5, 6 and 7 the slipstream to this battle, and then at the end of the race it can all kick off. So again, I think it was a good choice just to play it tactically and just tuck back into Quentin's slipstream and not fight this one too much, because like I say, we want to try and get a top 5 from this race, because a top 5 will give me some very, very nice points in this race. I think it was like P5 was 350 odd points. I think P4 was over 360. So yeah, following behind Quentin now, trying not to make any mistakes. But however, we go a little bit deep on the brakes there, but we managed to just about rotate the car, and you can see just about staying in the slipstream to Quentin as we fast forward. So on the straight, again, just staying in the slipstream to Quentin. We're not going to take any risks. We're going to just try and save our tyres. Quentin goes for a move on Kaj, and we're just going to tuck behind Kaj now and just again follow Kaj, as Quentin has obviously been saving his tyres for the first few laps, and his tyres are in a very good position really, because he was able to really push, and we made a little bit of a mistake through a couple of corners there, which lost us vital time. We just made a couple of silly errors, and again as we come through, we're trying to push now, and you can see we're around 3-4 tenths behind him. And then as we come into this left hand corner, I think we downshifted a little bit too early in second gear, which unsettled the car, which meant I couldn't get on the throttle as early as possible, and again we've lost a vital bit of time. And then as we come through to the final corner, I should have been more aggressive, but I backed out the throttle, and unfortunately that is going to lose us the slipstream as we go down. So you can see we're in the slipstream just about at this phase, but by the time we got to the end of the straight, we actually lost the slipstream into the braking zone. So yeah, just a little bit too hesitant on the throttle. So we're going to skip ahead to lap 8 when we're going in the pits. This was pretty much the optimal time to change from the mediums onto the hard tyres. You can see we're around 1.1, 1.2 seconds behind Kaj. Coming out the pits, and we're still in technically P4, but actually we're in P6 because the 2 drivers have yet to pit. But we've got Coyote behind us now, who looks like he's gone for a bit of an undercut, which was possible to do if you really hooked up your hard tyre lap. And as we go onto the straight there, you can see we're going to skip a little bit, a lap and a half further ahead. We managed to hold Coyote off and keep him behind us. However, he's got a really nice run on us here, and also Kaj in front of us has got a penalty, which is going to mean that if Coyote can get a run on him, we might be able to pick up the slipstream. So I decided to back out here, lift off the throttle, let Coyote take a nice line into the corner and see if he can just get into that slipstream with Kaj, because that might give us the opportunity to fight for P3 in this race if we work together. So we decided to play it smart. We're not going to battle him, because if we fight him, you can see that the group behind us are only 1.4 seconds behind. So any sort of battling will mean that this battle will turn into a 7 or 8 car battle, and we don't want that. We want to be able to try and secure a top 5 position in this race. So now it's just a case of trying to save them hard tyres while we're behind Coyote. Now Coyote has obviously got 1 lap older tyres than what I've got, and also 1 older than what the cars in front of him have got. So it's going to be very, very difficult with the multiplier that was on in this race. I think it was like ×7, so quite a high multiplier. So that is going to be the equivalent of 7 laps older tyres if it was at ×1. So it is going to be difficult for Coyote to try and catch them up. But if anyone can do it, it would be Coyote. Extremely fast driver, extremely consistent, probably one of the fastest on GT at the moment in terms of raw speed. So yeah, let's see what we can do as we follow in behind here now. Driving pretty smooth on the hard tyres. I think our brake bias was actually pretty well set up for the hard tyres. It seemed to keep the fronts in really good condition, and it wasn't too aggressive on the rear tyres, because obviously the harder tyre is able to slightly look after them a bit better. They'll last a bit longer. And again, on that final corner, trying to get on the power as early as we can while we're in that slipstream. A little bit of oversteer, but we managed to stay in the slipstream, and we work our way down the straight. And you can see that it does look like Coyote has got the slipstream to Kaj up ahead. You can see that Kaj obviously trying to break it there, but isn't able to, because Coyote is 100% in that slipstream range. So yeah, working our way through these very fast flowing corners, and then we're into that technical section again, onto the brakes as early as we can. And you can see that Coyote makes a little bit of an error there, kind of goes a little bit deep in, does rotate the car though. He must have quickly shifted to first gear to get a bit of rotation or something, and it does look like he's very close to losing that slipstream to Kaj. He must just be hanging on in there. So very difficult obviously for him with them older tyres. For me, it's not too bad to stay in the slipstream with Coyote, because like I say, we've got fresher tyres, and I think our brake bias was suited more to the hard tyre. I'm thinking that we possibly should have gone -3 for my driving style when we were on the mediums. It probably would have looked after them rears a little bit better. So working our way down the straight, just following the snake as we go down here when everyone's trying to weave and break that slipstream. But yeah, no problem for us at this stage. You can see we've got no issue staying in the slipstream. So I'm just going to go to the left hand side of the track, make sure that Coyote knows I'm not going to battle this. I think we flashed him as well, just to say, you know, I'm not going to fight it into the braking zone. You try and stay in that slipstream, and then we can fight it out on the last lap. If we can fight for a podium, you know, that would be important. You can see how close the cars are behind. We've got 2 or 3 cars. If we start fighting at that stage, we're going to bring 2 or 3 more cars into this battle. So we're going to skip ahead to the end of lap 14 and the start of lap 14 now. The end of lap 13 and the start of lap 14, I say. And yeah, working our way down straight, you can see again that Kaj is trying to break that slipstream to Coyote, but he's not able to do it. Coyote is still in that slipstream, and again, working our way down straight, we're going to get the slipstream from Coyote. But I decided I'm not going to battle him here again, because if we start fighting, and I decided to back out here, I lifted off the throttle and just tried to get Coyote back into the normal racing line, because if we start battling there, they're only 1.3 seconds, 1.4 seconds behind us. If we fight at this stage, it would mean another 2 or 3 cars involved with this battle, and I did not want that. I thought, let's try and keep that gap around 1.4 seconds, and we can battle it out on the final lap. So yeah, I think it was a smart play to do, and we just tuck back in behind Coyote and just try and follow him through this middle sector, and then just try and stay as close as we can for the long straight, because then we can try and go for a move on the final lap, and that would be a little bit easier for me to defend for just 1 lap rather than 2 laps also. So yeah, tucking him back behind Coyote. See Coyote running a little bit wide there, but he manages to make the corner, and we're very, very close in the braking zone. But again, we're not going to go for a move on this corner, because he would just get us back again. So again, just braking nice and early, ensuring that we keep that gap to P6 there behind us at around 1.3, 1.4 seconds, because we don't want him getting any closer than that. So into his final sector, trying to stick to Coyote's bumper as much as we can, just trying to keep it nice and smooth, trying to get the car rotated, and just trying not to make any big errors, because like I say, a top 5 finish for me was all I needed from this race, and then I could go to the gym, I could do my workout, and I wouldn't have to worry about racing again. So yeah, onto the final straight. You can see we got a little bit of oversteer there on the final corner, which meant I had to upshift to 3rd gear quite early, or we would have ran wide. But that has actually given us a nice bit of slipstream, and we're almost in the perfect range of slipstream to go for a move into turn 1. So this is looking quite nice. As we go into the slipstream, Coyote is now going to go defensive, because he knows that this is the final lap. I'm going to go for a move, and we do a little bit of a fake, tuck underneath him, and that gives us a line into the turn 1, and we managed to make the corner down into first gear, then back up to second gear, and we leave the space on the outside, and we pull a nice move off up there to get ourselves up into P4 in this race. But now we are going to have to defend on the rest of this lap from Coyote, and we do have a slight tyre advantage though, so our tyres are going to be in a better position than his. So let's see if we can manage this as we go through this long flowing right hand corner. You can see we actually around 1.2 seconds behind Kaj, and it does look like Kaj was slightly struggling on the hard tyres also at the end of this race. I think Kaj was quite aggressive on the tyres, so pretty much like I am, very aggressive on tyres. But our tyres are looking alright. We managed to look after him quite okay with being in the slipstream to Coyote. Obviously, Kaj has had no slipstream, so his tyres will be fading a little bit quicker. So into the braking zone, Coyote has a little look there, but realises it probably wouldn't be very sensible to go for a move there. He's probably going to try and see if he can go for a move somewhere on this last sector. So again, there is another position here if you do this corner really well. But we managed to hook that up quite nicely and get on the throttle quite early, so he's not going to be able to go for a move into this braking zone. And then as we come through this left-hand corner, I was very, very careful not to lose control there, but got very good exit. However, Coyote spots the opportunity on the inside. We're going to have to go side by side, have to give him the space on the right-hand side. He gives me the space as well and returns it. So brilliant driving on that final corner. And now it's a drag race all the way down to the finishing line. Can we hold on to this P4? We're going to go all the way to the right-hand side of the track. He's going to go to the left now, and the finishing line is just in front of us, and we managed to take a P4 in this really enjoyable FIA top split race. So that is some very, very good points for me in the bag. You can also see our pace on the hard tyres was actually pretty good there. We didn't lose a massive amount to Killian. So yeah, we worked it well, we played it smart. But let's have a little look at that move to get ourselves up to P4. So we fake it down the left, then tuck up underneath, and it comes so close to actually connection with Coyote, but we managed to make that work really well there, up at the inside, and pull a nice move off. So let's have a little look at that from the chase camera. Again, staying to the left hand side, and then just tucking up at 166 miles per hour, tucking up the inside, pulling that fake off, getting on the brakes nice and early, getting the car rotated, and yeah, we made that move work really, really well. So yeah, let's have a little look at the final corner battle as Coyote goes for a move on the inside. We see it coming, we realise that we have to give him a little bit extra space, but then that gives us a really good exit speed with that wider line, and we managed to hold on to the P4 with the drag race all the way to the finishing line. So yeah, if you do enjoy these races, please let me know in the comment section what you thought of this race, what you thought of that move that we made, and also hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification button so you don't miss any future videos. And yeah, we come away with 364 points, so another very solid amount of points in our FIA Nations Championship. So that should keep us, I think, in the top 15 overall in the EU region. So very, very happy with that. And yeah, I will be back with more videos and live streams in the future. Thanks again for watching, everyone.